Today, Dr. Fauci tells the unvaccinated to get over it and get the jab. Pfizer seeks approval for a booster shot, and the White House brokers a deal for Hunter Biden's art. We've got a lot to get into this Friday, and it starts right now. Welcome to the news and why it matters. I'm Sarah Gonzalez. I want to call this episode the CPAC episode. It is Friday, and we have got some CPAC guests in the house. We are joined by James O'Keefe, of course, no stranger to all the viewers out there, I'm sure, the founder of Project Veritas, which, by the way, we play your videos all the time on this show. So it's great to have you finally on your maiden voyage on the show. We've also got Maj Toure, who is the founder of Black Guns Matter, who I know it's been years, but you are familiar with the studio. I know it's changed a lot, so happy to have you back, along with Julio Rosas, who is the senior writer at Town Hall, and I know good buddies with Elijah Schaffer, and you guys have, I think, probably could swap PTSD stories on all of the things you've seen out there. So thank all of you for all of the good work that you're doing. Let's get to the topics of the day. So Dr. Fauci, I think that this administration and Dr. Fauci, everyone in the CDC, everyone pushing to get this vaccine is going by the playbook of how can we get people to not want to take this vaccine? Let's do that. So Dr. Fauci is going out. I don't know why he's still on television, but they are still making the rounds with him on MSNBC, CNN, all of those places. And he wants to tell all of you who are out there who have decided, maybe weighed the risks and the benefits and decided not to get the jab, to just get over it and stop making it political. Watch.
This is not complicated. We're not asking anybody to make any political statement one way or another. We're saying try and save your life and that of your family and that of the community. It's, we have so many things, as you said, so many diseases that I deal with that don't have solutions. It's very frustrating. You don't have a treatment or you don't have a vaccine. Here we have a vaccine that's highly, highly effective in preventing disease and certainly in preventing severe disease and hospitalization. It's easy to get, it's free, and it's readily available. So, you've got to ask, what is the problem? Get over it. Get over this political statement. Just get over it and try and save the lives of yourself and your family.
So, James, a vaccine, it is authorized for emergency use. It does not have full FDA approval. There's no long-term safety studies. Just get over it and get it. What's your problem?
Well, it's funny because I see Fauci on TV, and what was the guy, Mark Avenatti? Was that his name?
Oh, Michael Avenatti?
Michael Avenatti, yeah. And he's just on TV, and then suddenly, isn't he like indicted now?
Yes.
Facing charges, and I find the same thing happens with these folks. They give them a platform, and Fauci is on the front cover of all these glossy magazines. And what happened to the other guy? I mean, he was saying all these things. Now he's facing jail time. He was on CNN. They were giving him a spot. So it's just, in my opinion, a network news, having a symbiotic relationship with who may be a fraud.
Yeah.
And then we'll all find that out, and then they'll just dismiss it under the rug. It's crazy.
Yeah, the golden child doesn't stay golden for very long, it seems. Maj?
I don't know why I don't think the general public, especially in the demographics where I am, take him serious at all. Yeah. There's literally video of the same dude saying, hey, no, you don't have to have a mask, then doing a complete 180. Everything about Fauci is a fraud. There's no legitimate perspective from him. He's talking about, we have things that work. Well, there used to be a guy in office that was pushing this thing called hydrochloroquine, and that seemed to have worked a lot too, until they stopped talking about it on purpose. So dude's a fraud. He's a clown. Nobody from our demographic listens to him, and they shouldn't. He's been deliberately lying and then doubling down on, I lied for the right reasons. Complete fraud. Yeah,
well, and it is interesting to hear him say, stop making it political. It's like, I don't think we're the ones who are making it political.
Right.
Julio.
No, exactly. And I honestly, I think Congressman Thomas Massie said it best when he was asked, are you vaccinated? And he said, well, I don't have to tell you, but I'll tell you. And he said, no, because I've already been infected. I'm obviously still here.
Right.
And there's no data to show that having the vaccine in addition to having natural immunity through infection, doesn't make it any better. And so then it's like, people then think, well, if I already had it and I have the antibodies, why would I then risk taking an emergency authorized use vaccine? And, you know, I'm not saying we're anti-vaxxers here, but this is not something that has been long tested in long-term approval, just because we don't know, because it's only been out for a little bit. And just personally, you know, I traveled a lot during the riots of last year. I went on so many airplanes, so many crowds. I'm still here. Did I get it? Probably. I don't know. Right. But it's just, you know, I think the vaccine is good for the people who are most at risk from the morbidity of it. But, you know, I think people should decide for themselves whether or not they want to take it.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice that people have the option, but it is interesting not just to watch the scientific community discuss this and turn this into some like woke, you know, you get social justice points, you know, virtue points if you do certain things that align with what they want you to do, not only with the vaccine, but we're seeing it in the scientific community with things like transgenderism, where, you know, you're not allowed to pay attention to the actual science of anything. It's more about virtue signaling to everyone else. I guess where I'm going with that is the scientific community as a whole, are we just completely, have we lost them completely? How do we turn back from that?
Well, I think that, you know, some of the reporting that we've done at Project Veritas on Facebook, we had a whistleblower come forward and release documents talking about vaccine hesitancy. So if you report on the vaccine, if you comment, even if your comment is true, Facebook said in the internal leaked documents from this whistleblower, even if the stuff that you're saying is true, they'll still censor you. So this is sort of a post-Orwellian world we're living in now. It's not about fake news to these tech companies, because the tech companies control the flow of information. So it doesn't matter what the science is. If the tech companies are censoring it, you don't get the information.
Yeah.
And we had reported that Facebook was saying privately and internally they did not want the public to know that they were doing this, but they were deboosting and censoring facts that were true if you're making statements about the vaccine. So that has to be fixed, in my opinion, before we even get to the science. We have to fix the censorship part.
So how do we do that?
Well, I think the first step is to expose it. I mean, because they go under oath on Congress and they just say the opposite of what they're doing, which if you did that, if I perjured myself under oath, I'd be in jail, rightfully so. But these companies have infinite power, and I think government, to a certain extent, is downstream from Facebook, Google, and Twitter. These are enormously complex problems. I don't even know what the legislative solution is. But I think the first thing we got to do is expose what they're doing, which is what we're trying to do.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah, you can't get to the root of the matter until you get around all of the, the fluff around it. And I think, just like James said, having organizations like Project Veritas that are actually going to go, hey, tell us your story, tell us how, because a lot of people are afraid. Like you said, these companies are very, very powerful. I think the only thing that can subdue that is the power of Americans actually telling the truth about these things. And not worrying about, hey, am I going to run into, be reprimanded at my job and things of that nature. And so dealing with that portion first to even get to the conversation. I don't think that science, we're losing the science. The science is there. There's actual scientists, actual medical professionals, not this political science dude like Fauci's being right now, that are actually reporting this. But again, they're becoming censored or even threatened with their livelihood being taken away. So, we got to make sure we're not putting the cart before the horse here, expose the people that are being false, and then get back to the actual deeds. Yeah,
and I mean, not to mention, you could get booted from Facebook, Twitter, all of those places, YouTube. But you bring up a great point, Maj. There were doctors in some states who were getting their credentials, their licenses taken away for saying things like masks don't work. Right. So, Julio, your thoughts?
No, and Town Hall has been the victim of the censorship that Jim was talking about earlier. Back when we were writing about how, yes, this is a possibility that the coronavirus came out of the lab in Wuhan. Right. We were fact checked, and it's just because the officials are saying that it's wrong. It's like, well, and then fast forward a couple months later, and then here we are saying, oh well, actually it is an actual viable theory, and of course it always was, but because the cozy relationship that they all have with each other, but that's dangerous, and that's why people don't trust the experts, and so if you can't even be honest with how the this disease came about, why would they trust you to take this emergency authorized use vaccine? And so again, like that's on them, and that's what we were talking about earlier, where their strategy seems to be, let's try to make people not take it.
Yeah. So just kind of to wrap up this topic, let me just add in news of the day, Pfizer announced that they would be seeking emergency authorization use for a booster shot now, which, it's like Dr. Fauci and everyone's like, just get the shot, get the shot, get the shot. And then it's like, oh, wait, get the shot, and then get the shot again 6 months later, and then get the shot again 6 months later, kind of like the flu shots that we have, and you're going to have to take it every year because it's going to change now. And so now even the FDA and CDC are like, hold on, we don't know if you need one. We're not so sure about that. And you have to wonder if they just know that the messaging is going to be lost on the American people, because there are a lot of people who, even conservatives, I think they would call themselves conservative, but they agreed with all of this. They said, okay, I'll do it for this. Now, I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
But they at least said, we'll do it for a short amount of time for the safety and security of all these Americans. And now they keep hearing this and they're like, what did we get ourselves into?
Yeah.
Well, incidentally, I mean, even Mark Zuckerberg expressed dissatisfaction with the vaccine, and he was allowed to do that on himself, but he doesn't allow people to do that.
Did he really?
Yes, he did, on a private Zoom call with Facebook executives, which was leaked to us. He had some concerns about, DNA issues with. So he's allowed to one set of rules for and other sets of rules for other people.
Golly.
Nobody in urban America, for the most part, believes any of this, even down to the very disrespectful marketing that they're doing. They're clamoring. A few months ago, we had a Run DMC cartoon rap. Get the vaccine.
Yeah.
Just a few days ago, we got Juvenile destroy a classic song, vax that thing up.
Yeah.
And it's almost like the level of disrespect. and
so
more
offensive.
right, it's so offensive. More specifically for Black America, urban America, Black, brown, whatever.
Yeah.
It becomes a conversation about, okay, we got to get this target market first.
Yeah.
We got to get them to get on board. The hip hop community, like we need a beat in order to like you know what I'm saying? And these are the things that are like, you're going so hard because the American people are going, no, that seems stupid.
Right.
It seems dumb. And you've been caught in so many lies back to back to back. It's the same thing as like people waking up about gun control. It's the same thing. It's like, nah, that doesn't make sense. The great thing about it is they're doing a lot of the heavy lifting for us by being so horrible. Their messaging, their branding, they're lying, they're just tripping over themselves. And pretty soon it's going to be a layup for us.
Yeah, that's a great point, because Julio, we've got Black, Hispanic. I'm sorry, James.
Latinx.
Sorry,
it's Latinx.
Latinx. I'm sorry. But I think that they would be surprised that any of us were able to use a computer.
Right.
Really, when it comes down to it, you had Joe Biden like, well, we have to help out the Black and brown people to use the computers. It's very difficult.
Right. And then on top of that, he was saying that the reason why Latinxes weren't getting the vaccine is because they were afraid of being deported. And it's just like, first off, as I've done a lot of reporting on the border crisis and everything, Joe Biden's not deporting that many people. So that's number one. Yeah. But also number two, he did that broad stroke of just like, oh, okay, well then, we're not all illegal. That's just not true. Yeah,
actually, most of us living here are actually legal.
Right.
For now.
Right.
I don't know what happens with his border plan. So let me give you one more before we go to break. The CDC said just today that returning to in-person learning in schools this fall is a priority, and that masks I feel like this is Groundhog's Day. Masks should be worn indoors by all individuals ages 2 and older who are not fully vaccinated against coronavirus, and that schools maintain at least 3 feet of physical distance between students within classrooms to reduce the transmission risk. What are your thoughts on, you say, I think, Maj, your overall point was that the left continues to overplay their hand when it comes to all of this. Do you think that they're doing this on school choice? Because that's kind of how I'm at, like, okay, all of these suburban moms who maybe thought, well, Trump tweets mean things, so I'm not going to vote for him, and they voted a different way, are seeing Joe Biden and the Biden administration back these teachers unions who just doesn't seem to want to teach the children at all. And when they do want to teach them, they want to teach them like what Pride Month means instead of actual education. So do you think that the left is again overplaying their hand with all of this masks should be worn indoors by all individuals ages 2 and older who are not fully vaccinated again?
Yeah, I mean, when the teachers, when the kids start paying union dues, then teachers' unions will care about the kids, really. It's not about the kids. We've done many undercover investigations into that. I mean, I don't even know what my comment on that is. It's just crazy to see. But I think education, I think they are playing their hand. I think they're taking it too far. But and maybe in the immediate future, the next election, the conservatives will win or the Republicans will win. But I think the long, slow march through society's institutions takes decades, and over time they are winning, and our freedoms, get reduced. So I believe in transparency. I think someone tweeted this past week there should be cameras in every classroom. I just believe in exposing what is going on. But I think that there's going to be a rebound or a ricochet effect from the hand that they're playing in the short term, but in the long term, they've been successful.
Yeah,
same thing. I feel like even, you talk to the people, because a lot of my friends, I live in Philly, is 80-90% Democrat. And these are people that I love. And I'm like, bro, like, how do you feel now?
Right.
How do you feel now?
What are they saying?
They legit are like, nah, bro, my bad. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you're bad. Thanks a lot.
My bad. I'm like,
Country's
we were kind of like we were
thanks,
telling you,
bad.
thanks, bro.
We're
and I think
6 months in.
Right. But it becomes a thing where it's an unfortunate, it's what I call a beautiful ugly. There's no coming back from the heavy lifting that they've done to expose themselves. It's almost like even next 2-3 years when campaigning starts to happen again, there's so many things that are horrible. I literally took my daughter out of school. I'm homeschooling her.
Yeah, I did too.
All of these things are, in the short term, good for them. Long term, great for us, because you can't. If you miss an air ball 3 seconds left in Game 7, we're either going to fire you, but even if you somehow stay on the team, we're absolutely not putting the ball in your hands, come a decisive moment. So I think they have overplayed themselves in that regard. And the areas that we could exploit that the most is where, urban America, where we can shift those voting trends in that direction, because they're horribly wrong.
Yeah, Julio. Last word on this.
Yeah, no, I think the critical race theory debate that we've been seeing across the country has been a good example of, because that really brings the issue. Because one of the things with the border crisis that I've been doing is just that it's hard to bring that back home to see, but when you have your kids in your own local school district teaching these wild things about race and all that, I mean, even in Northern Virginia, which is where Town Hall is based out of, we're seeing parents just completely go against it. And this is pretty heavy Democratic areas. And so, I mean, I think they're backfiring. Of course, now they're trying to say, well, critical race theory is just teaching about slavery and all that, which of course that's not what it's about. But no, they definitely overplaying their hand, I think. And, it's just a matter of whether or not conservatives are going to be able to, I hate to use the term, but seize upon that part and then actually work towards that change that's needed.
Yeah, historically they've been just absolutely horrible at messaging. All right, we got to go to break. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Bonner Wines. So, are you guys wine drinkers? Anyone here a wine drinker?
Occasionally.
Just me, apparently.
Sangria.
I'll pretend like I don't drink enough for everyone here at this table. But if you're a wine drinker like me, you can make that drink 10 times healthier by drinking Bonner wines. They grow these grapes at 9,000 feet. And just for some reason, when you grow them that high, they've lab tested these wines and found that they contain up to 10 times the levels of a heart health nutrient called resveratrol. And it's good for brain health, heart health, a whole bunch of stuff. And by the way, these wines have 90% less sugar, fewer chemicals, fewer additives. So if you are being nagged by someone in your life, you really should be healthier, just be like, I've got my wine. It's actually very healthy for me, okay? Right now you can get 50% off the wine and 50% off the shipping. You don't need a promo code. Just go to cowgirlwine2021.com. They just got another shipment in. I don't know how long it's going to last, so you're going to want to go there, cowgirlwine2021.com. The U.S. war in Afghanistan will officially be over by the end of August, President Biden announced in remarks delivered yesterday. Now, he did give an update on the status of U.S. troop withdrawal, which is proceeding ahead of schedule. Now, this does come after the report surfaced that there were some troops that literally just left in the middle of the night, did not tell the Afghan military that they were leaving, and they just discovered it like hours later, which I don't know if that is the greatest thing to do when they've got prisons that are, being guarded with Taliban members in it. But let's listen to, I've got two clips here. Let's first, because it's a news program and we got to get the news stuff out of the way, we'll play Joe Biden delivering his remarks, and then we'll play another Joe Biden clip because, we got to do that. It's Friday. Watch. Do we have that? There it is.
Our military mission in Afghanistan will conclude on August 31st. The drawdown is proceeding in a secure and orderly way, prioritizing the safety of our troops as they depart. Our military commanders advised me that once I made the decision to end the war, we needed to move swiftly to conduct the main elements of the drawdown. And in this context, speed is safety. And thanks to the way in which we have managed our withdrawal, no one U.S. forces or any forces have been lost. Conducting our drawdown differently would have certainly come with an increased risk of safety to our personnel. To me, those risks were unacceptable. And there was never any doubt that our military would perform this task efficiently and with the highest level of professionalism. That's what they do.
So now that we've gotten that out of the way, gentlemen, I want to get your thoughts on this, but I do also want to play Joe Biden. He was taking questions following his speech on Afghanistan. I think he just needed a reboot really quickly before he continued his sentence. Here's a little bit of that.
We went for two reasons. One, to
Yes.
bring Osama bin Laden to the gates of hell, as I said at the time.
Oh, did you?
The second reason was to eliminate al-Qaeda's capacity to deal with more attacks in the United States from that territory. We accomplished both of those objectives, period.
It's interesting because I guess in his reboot, he had forgotten that he actually was opposed to what they did there with Osama bin Laden. But nonetheless, it's that I really feel like, I think I tweeted this out earlier, I feel like Joe Biden's brain at this point is the human equivalent of the blue screen of death that we used to deal with on the Windows computers. That blue screen happens and you're like, oh, crap, it's breaking.
You could literally watch the pinwheel happening with homie. So at this point, it's almost like elder abuse.
Yeah.
I mean, and that actually was kind of good. I mean, when we're getting to a point where this guy is literally, first of all, like our president sniffs children.
Wrap your brain around that one, America.
We got to deal with that. But I think in regards to Afghanistan, first of all, we shouldn't have been there. We've been there for 20 years. There is no, the threat. Those are people that are fighting for their very life. Now, that doesn't mean, let me be clear about this. This doesn't mean the people that attacked America shouldn't have gotten their comeuppance. But after a certain point, it's like, bro, like 20 years.
It's on cost.
And if what do they all have? The ARs that are like, magical weapons of war that we can't fight them for 20 years. So, no, I think I applaud the fact that America is, we have infrastructure issues that we should be dealing with. I'm good with America not having an international policy in that regard of, conflict in those spaces. So I applaud the thing. But the reality is the administration, some guy named Trump before this, kind of didn't get us into a new war. And so I think he's doing a little bit of cleanup. Everybody's seeing it. He's horrible. And I don't really think it's genuine. But regardless of that, I applaud the fact that those men and women are on their way home, regardless of how we, getting them home. My allegiance is to those people that are giving, their blood, sweat, and tears over any other thing that, left media might try to bring up.
Yeah, Julio.
Yeah, no, I mean, to start things off with, I never served in Afghanistan during my time in the reserves, but, I have a lot of friends who served in Iraq and Afghanistan, and so it's just, you know, I feel bad for them because they spent their youth there, they spent time away from their families, and now it's just kind of like, you know, it like I was saying before, it's like a sunk cost fallacy where, you know, we just keep going because or else then all the things that we lost, but then it does reach a certain point where it's like it's not enough, but at the same time they did put in a lot of work there, and now it's just kind of nothing because, I mean, the Taliban's on the march now, and so we're going to leave a provisional force at the embassy because obviously we got to protect the embassy, but then, you know, if the Taliban does completely take over the country, then where do we go from there?
Right.
And it's just complicated. It's good that I think that they're coming home. Absolutely. It's been a long time coming, but in terms of the president's performance, I mean, this is it's like that's why like he has to, you know, have a list of reporters to pick out from. Although he didn't do that at that press conference. It did seem like he was taking questions randomly, which was, I think, the very first time he's done that.
I'm sure he would say, "Oh, I'll get in trouble for this one later."
Right.
You know?
But no, so I mean, it's good. You know, it's good that it's finally happening. But it's just, you know, like what was kind of the whole point once we reach past the initial goals that we went in there initially for.
I just take a harsher perspective. I don't care about other countries in that regard. I live here. We just had a year like the summer of love. You know what I'm saying? I don't care. And I know the opinions expressed are homage to race and don't reflect, you know, the Blaze or Black Guns Matter. But the reality is we have issues at home. You know, we're talking about people like talking about which pronouns to address me as. And so, like, I don't care, bro. Like, I don't. I care about America. I care about humanity. But if you're asking me the question about where we live and what's higher on my priority scale, bring those men and women home. Whatever happens to nations happens to nations. We are our nation, and China's ramping up to, like, take us out by 2027. So I'm more concerned about Americans at this moment.
Yeah, well, and I mean, it is frustrating too, because it just does seem like just endless money pits being sent to other countries. You know, I know, Julio, you've spent a lot of time at the border. You know, Kamala goes over to Guatemala and she's like, well, I mean, what we need to be doing is we need to, first of all, don't come. Sounds a lot like President Trump. But also, well, we just need to be, you know, paying more money to these countries. Well, maybe if we just pay them more money, they'll finally stop coming. It's like, guys, we can't be paying all of this money to all of these other countries for an end that is not going to happen.
You can't even call it a war, because in that regard, wars end. And it becomes it's just an endless supply of, hey, let's inflate and hyperinflate the American public and our children and grandchildren's pockets. This administration has handled these things horribly. But again, the benefit is those men and women come home.
Yeah. Julio, your thoughts on just throwing the money?
No, right. I mean,
everywhere.
It benefited some people in the military-industrial complex. I mean, it's a very cynical view, but I mean, that's one of the reasons why a lot of veterans, and again, my friends who serve, that's why they just hate how the establishment thing works, because like, oh, well, it's just what we've always done, and that's one of the reasons why Trump was so popular, was just because he's like, no, let's go from the drawing board. Now, obviously, of course, you know, he said it in his own Trump way, but that's why it resonated with a lot of people, and that's why Afghanistan, the war in the Middle East was definitely one of his selling points. And when he did try to get out of Syria, the deep state actually prevented that. Right. And a good friend of mine, his name is Joe Kent. He's running for Congress at the Washington 3rd District. His wife was killed because she was a Navy cryptologist, as an intel officer. In Syria, and she was killed, I think, about a month or two after Trump tried to order all troops out of the Middle East. And so that's one of the reasons why he's running for Congress, is because he wants to prevent something like that from happening again. So no, it's good that we should still have allies. We should still do all that, but that doesn't mean we should then just constantly throw money when, especially in the aftermath of all the economic devastation from the lockdowns.
Right. Yeah, exactly. All right, we've got more to come. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Keeps. So how will you know when you're ready to do something about your receding hairline and bald spot? I know, guys, you get embarrassed even though you shouldn't, okay? But I know you get embarrassed, and I'm sorry, gentlemen, I'm going to be sexist for a second. You guys don't go to the doctor.
No.
Anything. No. Never go to the doctor for anything.
Just drink some water.
Drink water.
Slap some dirt on it and get up, Johnny. But that's why Keeps is so awesome. So we know you're not going to go to the doctor, but Keeps is going to get you the same FDA-approved hair loss treatment that you would get at the doctor if you actually went, but they are going to send it directly to your door. And by the way, it's generic, so it's going to cost you about half of what it would if you went to the doctor and got that other one. So you do everything online. It's very easy. Answer a couple questions, take a couple pictures of your hair, and a licensed doctor reviews it, sends it directly to your door. By the way, if you have any questions along the way, you can message your doctor 24/7, your Keeps doctor, and track your progress with Keeps progress tracking tool. Let's get you started right now. If you are in need, you've been like looking in the mirror and like, golly, I just feel like I'm getting older all of a sudden. Go to keeps.com/Y for 50% off your first order. It is Keeps, KEEPS.com/Y. That is WHY, Keeps.com/Y. The White House is being heavily criticized after they have brokered a deal to, this is so weird, you guys. They've brokered a deal for Hunter Biden, who apparently has decided at, how old is he, almost 50? That he's going to begin a new career as an artist. So he has started these weird, abstract, like paintings and such, which, by the way, he plans to sell for anywhere between $75,000 to $500,000. But the White House has now brokered a deal to basically keep it so that all of the buyers that buy his art remain anonymous to both Hunter Biden and the general public, which he is getting slammed for. The Biden administration, Joe Biden, is getting slammed for because even Obama's ethics chief is saying, hey guys, this is actually a horrible, horrible decision. How can the public hold your White House accountable to make sure that, say Joe Biden isn't meeting with these art buyers who now are getting influence with the president? And Hunter takes them and Hunter gets them to meet. And actually now we have no idea if that's happening because you have brokered a deal to make it all completely anonymous. And by the way, the White House touted this as like a big win for them. They were like, hooray, we got this deal and now everything's going to be anonymous. So you'll know nothing shady's going on because we don't even know who it is. As if that's really the way that it works. So
that's weird for several reasons. One, why does the White House got to get involved with private transactions? That's number one.
They're not supposed to. Right. I thought that was like illegal.
Like kind of the thing. Like right. Don't do this.
That's
don't merge these two worlds.
Yes.
The other thing is just like, I do agree that it could be private. I sold some art, bro, and that's it. But like, how old is Hunter Biden? Like, what? He's lying on 4473s, which, which to me, I don't even think a 4473 should be in existence. Right. That's number one.
Right.
But he's lying on 4473s. He's got this weird laptop floating around, right? He's now saying, hey, I'm going to go into the art. Like, fundamentally, I agree with anyone selling anything, and I don't have to disclose anything to anybody but the IRS, right? In that regard. And I think the IRS shouldn't have as much power as it should. However, why this administration feels the need to consistently get behind Hunter, it's literally like every single thing, it's like opposite world. Every single thing that they said about Trump and Don Jr. That they thought was going to be like this, oh man, it's literally every single thing now, and he's doing it. And it becomes like, okay, so is that 10% going to get kicked up to the big guy? All of these things are just so weird. And I just need more. I need them to keep making these levels of mistakes because like we said, it becomes a layup for us. They're doing all of the heavy lifting for us.
Yeah, do you agree, Julio?
Yeah, no, and honestly, like the art thing is really like the least offensive thing Hunter has done. I mean, but it's still, again, like he was saying, that it's just they just keep going to bat for him when. If it was if it was Trump going to bat for Don Jr. in a similar circumstance, the whole world would be on fire.
Right.
And so I think that it's just, I understand he loves his son. And, parents' love is a whole on a whole other level. But I mean, the difference is you're the president.
Right.
And you gotta put the nation's interests above that. And if you're going to tout that you're better than the orange man bad guy, then you probably shouldn't be consistently bailing out your kid, like almost literally bailing out your kid, who's not even a kid anymore. And I love how whenever Democrats are like, oh, you can't believe we're going after the president's child. He's like, he's 50.
He's 50.
He's 50. He's done a lot of adult decisions in his lifetime. So, no, I think that this is just the latest, and it'll probably be something else in a couple of months.
It is interesting. I think it does, if nothing else, shows you the arrogance that the left has, that they just think they can continue to get away with stuff like this because it's so blatantly in your face. We've seen, I mean, everyone knows to be suspect of Hunter Biden and what he does at this point, right? If those Blaze TV viewers out here know, they've watched the special that Glenn did on what happened in Ukraine and what, happened in China and all of these shady business dealings that Hunter Biden has under his belt because of Joe Biden. And then at the end of the day, they still don't even hide him. Like you said, like at least go hide him. He's out there, Good Morning America. Oh, I wrote a book. I'm going to go on a book tour. I'm selling art
profile.
now.
Profile of all my art.
Right. It's just bizarre. It's like, I get that you love your kid, but I don't understand why you could possibly think it would be a good idea to not just like shove him back home.
Because that's our fault on the right.
Really? Okay.
We have to start ripping some of these guys' faces off.
Yeah.
And because we're generally freedom people,
right.
we go, hey, bro. Like even the statement of me going like, yo, I don't think your money's your money, bro. Yeah. But the problem is that only works with people that don't like
they
live
don't
and let
hold
live.
Us to those standards. Yeah.
And so we've been so freedom, do as you want, liberty-minded folks that we aren't paying attention to the ground. Well, we are, but we aren't pushing back against the ground shrinking underneath our feet.
Yeah.
Because we're doing this high road thing. And I'm not saying we have to be
degenerates.
Degenerates, perfect word. Right. But at the same time, it's like, no. Yeah. This is what's still happening. I think we got to be more vocal about it.
Totally agree. Julio, last word.
No, I think that, if the whole art thing is like the least offensive thing that he does, okay, great. But like, there's going to be more stuff coming out. And of course, then not only are conservatives, I would agree to a certain extent, like responsible for that, but it's also the media. Yeah. I'm a huge critic of it. I work in the media, and the reason why the Biden administration is so bold about it because they know that the media is not going to. I mean, they're not going to go.
They're not going to have to answer for it.
Right, exactly. Yeah. They're not going to be hour-long specials about the scandalous Hunter Biden or anything crazy like that. And so, so that's why, as I always say, that's why conservative media exists, is just because people are tired of that.
Yeah, totally agree. All right, we've got more to come. First, I want to thank our sponsor, Raycon, this segment. So Raycon, I have been using nonstop, even in my house. I know some of you, work or play, you're going to be on the move this summer. So Raycons you're definitely going to need. But even if you're just in your house, I use my Raycons all the time, mostly to drown out a crying baby. They're really good for that. But if you've got a favorite podcast you always listen to, or you just want to listen to music, Raycon wireless earbuds make all the difference. You get that same crisp, powerful beats at half the price of other premium auto brands. By the way, I personally think they look way better than their competitors. They don't have the stems that come out of your ears. They fit totally in your ear. They're very discreet. They also come in a bunch of cool colors, and they have customizable tips to make sure that you get the right ear fit. So Raycons are built to go wherever you go. They've got very quick and seamless Bluetooth pairing and a compact charging case. My Raycons have never died on me. I charge them every once in a while, but I don't charge them all the time. They've never died on me. They've got great battery life. By the way, they are offering 15% off all their products for our viewers. All you have to do is go to buyraycon.com/Y. That is BUY. Buyraycon.com/Y. Naval intelligence officers, in case you guys were wondering if it gets worse than all of the woke ads that you've been seeing for all of the military, it does, actually. They were sent guidance on LGBT pronouns and bathroom usage. This guidance was informing them that repeatedly misgendering a coworker leads to an unlawful hostile work environment. This was an email that was obtained by our friends over at the Daily Wire. And naval officers were told, they said, under updated Title 7 protections, they cannot repeatedly misgender someone without facing consequences. They could be potentially legal consequences. And discrimination based on transgender status is sex discrimination. By the way, the email also included a bunch of glossary terms for like all of the, LGBTQMNLOP terms, including intersex, sex-based harassment, and transition. And that, by the way, you are guilty of sex-based harassment if you use a transgender employee's wrong pronoun or name. But I think, okay, my question here that I'm going to start with, guys, is look, Maj is already over here like, I can't take this crap anymore. My question is, if gender is a social construct and it can change at any point in time, how are you to know if you are misgendering someone, if they could be, I am a male right now, but 5 minutes later I'm a female? How can you possibly be expected to keep up? How can you be expected to keep up? I need to know. I broke him. I think I broke Maj.
What I'll say is that the military's main mission is to protect the United States. And
Not anymore.
Not anymore. And so that's what its mission historically has been.
It's supposed to be.
It's supposed to be. And I think, I'm not saying that, we shouldn't be disrespectful to people or anything crazy like that, but there's a lot of like weaponization that goes along with this. And it's very easy to, go ahead and like use the rules to go after somebody that you don't like in these cases, because then what are you going to come back with? Well, I'm not a sexist or I'm not a transphobe or anything crazy like that. So no, I think part of one of the concerning things about the whole bathroom thing is just that, because if someone has the original parts and say in a female bathroom, and we just saw that happen at We Spa in Los Angeles, and it was a mostly peaceful attack by Antifa, but so it just spirals out of control is what I'm saying. And so when we talk about sexual assaults in the military and making sure women in the military are protected from all that, and then we're going to bring in this new group, there has been concerns. I'm not saying that every person who's transgender is a sex pest or anything like that.
See, I find it sad that you feel like you have to qualify those statements.
Well, but it's true. Well, right. But I mean, it is true.
But
there is concern within the military about, because especially in barracks. Barracks are very. It's like college essentially.
Right.
And it's
like
a lot. It's a dorm, and so women just aren't comfortable sharing those same spaces with some of the other things because of some past things. But it's the military should always be focused on lethality and going after the America's enemies, and I think some of this can be a distraction to that.
Yeah, Maj.
Your pronouns, bro.
There it is.
That's it.
There it is.
I think that's it.
It's like that's all I need to say. I would say too that was very like.
Oh, did we use up the censor?
Yeah. No. That was very much like self-sufficient. The statement said it all. I would agree with you. I know we got to go here in a second, but I will just say it is very telling how quickly they have thrown women overboard in exchange for I will just say transgender agenda, because I think at this point all of the lesbian LG and B that I know are all like, nah.
Right.
I don't want any part of these people anymore, because they've gone completely crazy, and now we've got people at We Spa exposing themselves to young people. I think that used to be a crime called indecent exposure. But I digress. All right, we got to take a break. We'll be back.
That was it.
It's very succinct. All right. Hey, before we go, I know you are all wondering out there, where can I find more of these guys, because they're awesome. So I'm going to let them tell you where all they can find you. Maj, let me start with you. Black Guns Matter.
Yeah.
All right.
Everybody can find out about us. They can come down to Miami to the Solutionary Summit this September the 3rd through the 5th. A bunch of solution-based stuff. We got libertarians, we got conservatives, we got independents, we got the Dems if they decide to take us up on our offer to come share solutions. So,
I don't know if they will.
Yeah, they tap out a lot.
Yeah.
They're solutionarylifestyle.org, and just, follow me on the socials until, Big Tech removes me at Maj Toure, MAJTOURE.
Awesome. Julio.
Yeah, no, so I work for Town Hall and do a lot of traveling with, whether it's riots or the border crisis. They can become a VIP member with us. That helps fund all the traveling that I do. But yeah, follow me on Twitter at Julio_Rosas11. But yeah, no, just stay up to date with Town Hall.
And I will say Julio does get some great on-the-ground videos. If you're familiar, you guys out there with Elijah Schaefer's videos, you guys are very similar in all of the videos that you get. So we'll thank both of you for being here. Thank you for all of the good work that you guys are doing. We appreciate it, and I know the viewers do as well. And with that, we're off to CPAC, I think.
Yes.
We'll see ya.